What up? What up? What up? Thank you for tuning in to this final episode of Asbrock's Bengals Thoughts for the 2020 NFL season. My name is Chris Asbrock, and I am here to discuss. I don't even really know how much I'm going to get into it. The Bengals' final game of the 2020 season, a 38-3 drubbing at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens from Paul Brown Stadium, the game that got the Ravens into the playoffs, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they fell to 4-11-1. And like I said, I'm not going to really get into much on this game. I mean, this was, let's be honest, this was expected. This was a game that's, let's be honest, you weren't going to. This game wasn't going to play out any other way than what we saw. There's been, excitement of the momentum that the Bengals had over their last two victories, and this just completely changed it, and it kind of set us all back to reality at this point in time of what we're looking at, as you know. In all reality of what we're looking at with the Cincinnati Bengals right now at this point in time, 38-3, plain and simple. This was just, this was a game that the Bengals had zero chance in winning. This was a game that the Baltimore Ravens had everything to play for, winning the in, and the Bengals obviously had nothing. And going into it, there was talk that, reports had come out that a couple Bengals coaches will not be there. They would basically be gone after this game, and you kind of look at this game was kind of played that way anyway. A lot of people are saying Lou Anarumo could be one of those. You kind of look at you look at the entire picture here with this, and I don't know really what or where I stand on the Lou Anarumo thing. And I've said it before in a couple of the previous episodes that Lou Anarumo has done a lot with very little. We have to remember that. And a lot of people are saying after this game, Lou's got to go. I mean, Bengals gave up 525 total yards, 24 first downs for Baltimore. We did get one turnover, but this. You look at this game. Lamar Jackson was 10 of 18 for 113 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins, 13 carries, 160 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Miles Boykin had 1 reception for 43 yards there. And overall, you look at the way this game played out. Again, like I said, this was something that you had to expect, this game to go one direction, and it did. The Baltimore Ravens came out and thoroughly took it to the Cincinnati Bengals and did not let them get any hope, anything going whatsoever. Plain and simple. And it wasn't going to happen. This was just something that we were just going to have to watch this game unfold and basically take our licks and go from there. But, when it comes to this Bengals team, you look at, this is just a, you look at everything, and it's so hard because you try to find some something really to move forward on with this, and you really can't. Let's be honest. How you're 4-11-1. Bengals were 3-5 at home. Again, this was a superior opponent that the Bengals faced. They weren't going to win this game, plain and simple. Now we have to shift our focus to the offseason and what's going to go on from, where do we go from here, basically, type thing. And I still think if you look at the totality of the situation here, the talent is there. You have to surround them with a good coaching staff. And I think Zach Taylor, I mean, here's the thing. Zach Taylor, when we brought him on in 2018, after Marvin Lewis was let go, um, or I should say 2019, so the beginning of last year, um, the the Bengals were behind the eight ball already in terms of bringing coaches in. Zach Taylor had to wait the Bengals couldn't get him in until after the Super Bowl anyway. So you're already behind the eight ball there. So Zach Taylor was forced to bring in friends of his and guys that he knew, which, let's be honest, most coaches are going to do that anyway. And so we know that. But there's a difference, though. These guys were guys that weren't good enough to get the job done. Jim Turner, let's be honest, nobody expects Jim Turner to even remotely be worth anything here in terms of an NFL offensive line coach. He's got that reputation. It's not very good, and we've seen what he did here with this team. He's one of the ones that's going to supposedly be let go. I'm fine with that. He's got to go. Now, here's the thing. Depending on what moves are made, and we'll find out a little more. We've heard a couple names. Nick Easton was one. There's a couple names. And like I said, Lou Anarumo, that's an interesting one. I still think I'm fine with Anarumo coming back as long as we have a full complement of a healthy team defensively. You're still looking at Mackenzie Alexander, who's a free agent. William Jackson, that's one that I think you look at maybe franchise tagging, bringing him back on a one-year deal, seeing how he plays with Trey Waynes, because I think you're going to be able to bring back Mackenzie Alexander. So you're going to have Trey Waynes. You're going to have Mike Daniels. You're going to have DJ Reader. These guys are going to be here. Our linebacking core is going to get a year older, so that's good. These guys were young, inexperienced. Josh Bynes was the only one that didn't have that had a load of experience. Bringing in somebody like the full complement of guys, and that's the thing is we've had 2 years now under Lou Anarumo, so you're keeping that system intact now. And you bring in a full complement, like I said, bring in those guys, a healthy full set of players for that defense under that system. I think you're onto something there. And I think that's something that we really have to think about instead of restarting and flipping things back over again and saying, and figuring out how we're going to go from there. I think that's one thing you have to remember with that is the way it's gone, and like I said, it doesn't look pretty giving up 500-plus yards of total offense. But again, what do you expect from some of these guys who know that, their jobs they're done? This team played with very little motivation today, and you can kind of see it. That's on the coaches. And some of those guys knew that they were going to be gone anyway. So what do you expect from them? And our guys the players are not going to tank. The players are going to go out there and bust their ass still. But it's going to come down to, they're still going to go out there and make plays, but it's kind of a catch-22 on that. When you look at what's kind of going on so far, I think that there's a couple things that can be made here. Now, and I'm going to be doing more podcasts. Hoping that we'll be able to get one with Nick Semino. Obviously, he's one that you'll see comment on here as well, and he's done a lot of stuff with us as well. So, hoping we'll be able to do a podcast in the off season, especially leading up to the draft on some of the moves that will be made and everything like that in terms of the coaching staff. But we were talking today before the game even started. I think that there's a chance if you're able to bring in maybe like a Bill Callahan. Bring him in, offer him an assistant head coaching job, an upgrade, and also an offensive line coaching job. Look at what he's done with the Cleveland Browns. Let's be honest, Callahan, and then you're going to reunite him with the son here, who's here as the offensive coordinator, even though he's just entitled alone because Zach Taylor makes the play calls. Does Zach Taylor turn that over to Callahan and let Brian do the play calling. I'm fine with that too. But I think if you're able to bring in somebody like Bill Callahan to come in and then also bring on Willie Anderson. Willie Anderson is one that I would really heavily think about bringing on this staff as, somebody who, to mentor this offensive line. Even if you can't bring in like a Bill Callahan, something like that, bring on Willie. Willie Anderson is one of the greatest offensive linemen, of his generation to play. Should be a Hall of Famer. And I would imagine he will be a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, which would be crazy because he'll be the second offensive lineman to go in as a Cincinnati Bengal and only the second Bengal to go in the Hall of Fame, period. But having somebody like that coaching your offensive line, that's what you want. Willie is a huge Bengals supporter still to this day. So with that being the case, look at bringing him on as your offensive line coach. That's it already. That is a major step, forward and a major step above Jim Turner, who is complete garbage. Jim Turner it's just his guys alone. And we saw what happened when he plays his guys. We suck. So that's something to pay attention to. And I think that's something to look at if you're the Bengals, because, the reports were that the Bengals told Zach Taylor to make the moves, or they will be made from the higher-ups. And I put on Twitter how I interpret that is Katie Blackburn said, Zach, you're going to make these moves. If not, we will, and you're not going to like it because you might be one of those being led out the door. I like that. That's showing a little bit of gusto there from the Bengals office. Like I said, this is something that you're not going to see from Mike Brown. That's why I've been saying all along, this is not a Mike Brown run team right now. This is Mike Brown being in the background and letting Katie and Troy run the show along with Duke Tobin. Now, let's be honest. You go 4-11-1 and 2-14 last season, things, somebody's got to take the fall, plain and simple. That's just, it has to happen. And, moves had to be made after this offseason. You can't afford to go 2-14 last year, 4-11-1 this year, and keep everything intact. You can't do that. Simply cannot do that. And the Bengals are not doing that from what we've been hearing. Some moves are going to be made. But, so it's time to look outside and look at bringing in some of these experienced coaches because I think that's going to help out a lot. I know one of the ones Al Golden is one of the names I've heard kind of could be gone. I would keep Al Golden. Yeah, he's our linebackers coach, I think, but he's a well-respected coach with a lot of experience. I think that's one you need to have on your staff. And, the more experience on your staff at this point in time, the better. That's only going to help Zach out. And I think that's what we have to be looking forward to right now at this point in time. Another move I would make, and Nick and I had talked about, like I said, before the game, look at bringing in TJ Houshmandzadeh as your wide receivers coach. Another Bengal so-called legend to come in and, coach these wide receivers. There's some serious talent there coming up. And, with A.J. Green most likely gone, and I'll touch on that here in just a minute, and then obviously John Ross will be gone. But you got to look at what might be coming. What do the Bengals do in the draft? Do they address wide receiver in the draft with the first pick? You're going to be 4th overall. Do you get Penei Sewell if he's there? Then great. Obviously you do. But if not, look at a Jefferson or Devontae, somebody like that. I'm all for that. Give Burrow his weapons. Because you're going to address the offensive line regardless in the offseason. It's going to happen. They will. They have to. So with that being the case, you want a guy who is well respected here as well with this wide receiving core. Make the move. Go for it. And I think that's one thing that they can do. Now kind of in terms of going back to the A.J. Green thing, A.J. Green, man, if this is his last game here in Cincinnati, it's a bummer. A.J. Green definitely is going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, wide receiver in Bengals franchise history. Simply phenomenal. I mean, you gotta love everything he's been on and off the field. Obviously, off the field or on the field the last couple of years has been a little touch and go, injury riddled basically. But AJ Green, man, I tell you what, if this is it, just a damn shame. And thank you so much for all you've done for us here in Cincinnati, because I tell you what, you were a lot of fun to watch, man. Just a lot of fun. And if it is obviously a last time here, I wish you nothing but success in the future, because, you don't deserve anything less than that. So, even if the Bengals look at bringing him back on a 1-year deal for, $5 or $6 million, I know that won't happen. But I'd be fine with that, just to continue to keep him in here and just to even look over the younger guys as well. I think that's something you can do. I know it's kind of crazy. A lot of people aren't going to be happy with that idea, but I would be perfectly fine with that. Plain and simple, this was just, this season has been it's a season fitting for the year 2020. It's basically the only way to put it. It's been rough. There's only one way you can look at it, and it's like, well, surely to God, it's not going to be as bad next year or next season as it was this year. So that's how I'm going to go about it. There really isn't much to really discuss. This game, like I said, was a complete throwaway. One I knew that we were going to get pounded on. I believe I said 34-9 was my prediction for the final score, and I was pretty damn close on it. But again, the Bengals had no shot in this game. We knew that going in. It's just going to be really interesting now when it comes to the moves that are going to be made here in the offseason. Probably starting we probably hear stuff tonight, either tonight or tomorrow. Obviously tomorrow is known as Black Monday, where you're going to hear a lot of coaches getting the axe, and that's something that's going to be interesting to see what comes out of Paul Brown Stadium, and what guys are actually going to be returning, and what guys are going to be gone after this, and what guys are going to be bringing in to help assist with Zach Taylor on his coaching staff. So that's really all I'm going to really touch on this. It was kind of pointless in my eyes to really discuss this game. In all seriousness, who really wants to talk about Brandon Allen going 6 for 21 for 48 yards and 2 interceptions? Nobody really cares. Plain and simple. There's going to be a lot more to discuss. Here in the next couple of weeks, as we're going to look at what's actually going to be coming out of Paul Brown Stadium in terms of the moves that are going to be made and stuff like that. So, with that being the case, I'm just going to quickly wrap it up. I know I've rambled on for 18 plus minutes already, but stay tuned. I will be back. I'll probably I might do one more for the Bengals here. But I'll be discussing, more things coming up in the off season here, especially as we lead into the Reds, their upcoming, season. Hopefully that'll get rolling. Take a look at some of the UFC events coming up. Pretty much that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, the Bengals, 4-11-1 to end the 2020 NFL season for them. So with that being the case, I'm going to wrap it up. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in again this year. I will be back again next year. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at I am Chris Asbrock and at IS on Twitter. And make sure you check out the website, impactsportscincinnati.wordpress.com. That is impactsportscincinnati.wordpress.com. Again, that's where all this stuff is posted. Make sure you also check out anchor.fm/Chris Asbrock, where you can find the audio version of this podcast, or you can subscribe to my YouTube page here, youtube.com/Chris Asbrock. Other than that, that's about it. If you, I thank you guys so much for another season. There was, after the Joe Burrow injury, it was kind of pointless, so I skipped a couple episodes. Plainly because I just didn't really want to discuss it. I wasn't quite in the mood. It went to hell pretty quick. But that's sometimes that's you just got to do it anyway. But again, thank you guys as always though for tuning in and talking about these the games with me and everything like that and commenting on them. I truly appreciate the support. As always, for your fitness needs, as we are all now looking to better ourselves for 2021 and get into the fitness part of it. Make sure you check out fnxfit.com. That is fnxfit.com and use the promo code BDiesel for 15% off your purchase. That is promo code BDiesel. It's capital B, capital D, and then, IESEL for 15% off your purchase. That promo code does not work on subscription items, but they've got a lot of fantastic products, a lot of great stuff. I would recommend the super greens are phenomenal. Proteins are amazing. So as always, make sure you check out fnxfit.com. That is fnxfit.com and use the promo code BDiesel for 15% off your purchase. Again, thank you guys so very much for another great season. You guys checking me out on here. I truly, truly appreciate it. So with that being said, I will be back probably within the next couple weeks to kind of take a look back on the season, kind of go about and kind of take a look back real quick and say that kind of stuff there. So stay tuned. Thank you guys as always for all your support, and I will be back relatively soon, I would say. But everyone take care and have yourselves a great start to your 2021. Take care, everybody.